Alright, so here are my thoughts on Once Upon a Time. So, yeah, that's a really generic title for a pretty generic movie. So, yeah, this movie, it's a German movie, apparently. I guess Italy was involved as well. Um, and yeah, it's like your typical fairy tale story. Um, So the story is we have a rich widower named Mr. Bottle who is also an alcoholic, appropriately enough for his name. Um, and one day this gypsy woman and her daughter were coming to town, and the gypsy woman's a con artist, and she finds out that Mr. Bottle is rich and a widower, so she basically cons him into marrying her by telling her that great misfortune will befall him or something. Yeah, actually I'm reading it right off of Wikipedia, so whatever. So yeah, he marries her, and her daughter Mary Lou starts to antagonize his daughter Maria. She's like bossing him around, and yeah, the gypsy woman's bosses her around as well. So yeah, basically she finds herself into the classic. She finds herself in the classic Cinderella situation: evil stepmother, evil stepsister. Except there's only one stepsister, and this one's actually hot. So, um, but yeah, she's no less mean. In fact, she seems, yeah, she's quite unpleasant. Um, so yeah, one day Maria meets this hunter who turns out to be the prince, but she doesn't know it yet. Um, and they fall in love, and then Mary Lou sees him and thinks he's just a regular hunter, and but whatever. He also gives this pendant with this this what is it, a garnet stone. Um, so he gives the necklace to her, and as I think Mary Lou knocks it down a well, so yeah, she loses it, and then um she finds out that the hunter was actually the prince, and so she talks Maria into trying to pull it out so she can bring it to him. And then she tries to drown her once she has the necklace, and yeah. But then, some magic force pulls her into the well with her, and then they're both in some magical world where they have to, um, help a bunch of creatures, including this fairy godmother character named, what was it? Mother Polly. Um, and as you might expect, Maria does exactly what they ask her to do. She does all the kind deeds while Mary Lou just stands there, yeah, just being unpleasant and complaining, all that stuff. And then the fairy godmother tells them that once they return to their real world, or their dimension, they'll both get what they deserve, pretty much. So yeah, obviously Maria gets the pendant. She marries the prince, whereas Mary Lou gets she gets she gets all wet basically, and yeah, she ends up marrying this shoemaker who's been hitting on her throughout the movie, and yeah, and that's how it ends. So yeah, it's basic, but it's not necessarily bad. It's not boring. There's like well, let me see. The animation is it kind of looks like some kind of poor man's Hanna-Barbera or something. Um, and the voice acting's nothing amazing. Um, you know the there's nothing like there's nothing that stands out in the visuals. It's kind of yeah, it's all pretty bland. I guess the character designs aren't too bad. Not again, nothing super impressive or anything, but they work fine. Um, and I can't exactly say it's like so predictable that it's boring. Like it does go in some interesting directions, mainly when they fall in the well and they end up in the other dimension. Yeah, like they're underwater at one point with a bunch of frogs, and there's like a frog king. There's a scene where they dance with a couple of Chinese stereotype looking things. Um, and then there were like a couple scenes in a row of like Maria helping these like different creatures. Like first she knocks these apples out of a tree that like yeah, a talking tree seems to be you know he's getting weighed down by all the apples, so he asks her to shake them all off, and she does, and they get carried away by these yeah, Australian kangaroo soldier things. Um, and then she helps save a bunch of loaves of bread that talk from these burning ovens, and then she also like milks a bunch of cows because they want her to, I guess. So yeah, and I thought that the apples, bread, and milk were gonna go somewhere. Like, they were trying to meet Mother Holly, and I thought there was gonna be some kind of event or something that involved, milk, fruit, bread, um, and yeah, when they get to her house, she's got like all these crying children who are hungry, and yeah, that's where I thought the apples, milk, bread were gonna pay off, but instead they just they just serve porridge. And, yeah, but yeah, what else? Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. I tend to forget like non-talking dog sidekick characters, but well, there's this cute little blue puppy in this movie. He's Maria's pet. Um, so yeah, kind of reminds me of Blue's Clues, I guess. So yeah, and then at one point, like the stepsister runs away trying to find the pendant, and Maria sends the dog to find her, and which turns out to be a pretty stupid plan since once the dog meets her, she like ties him to a tree, and then he gets snowed on, and you think he's dead for a moment. But yeah, they save him, and yeah, even with the attempted murder, and or yeah, even with her stepsister attempting to drown her, and also literally attempting to murder her dog. Yeah, Maria stays pretty good natured. She doesn't get angry at any point, at least that I can recall. She's, yeah, I mean, honestly, I would strangle that stepsister at some point down the line if I was in her place. I don't, I don't care if she's a chick, but yeah, yeah, the stepsister's pretty annoying and pretty unpleasant. Um, and you know, Maria's kind of your typical good-natured, you know, yeah, good-natured princess character who gets what she has been wanting at the end, and good triumphs, or yeah, what's the saying? Good, good conquers all, I guess. Um, uh, can't say too much about. Well, I mean, the shoemaker is kind of obnoxious, and he does come off as very, yeah, stalkery. But I guess since the chick he's stalking is unpleasant herself, I guess they deserve each other. Um, and also, yeah, Maria's father, Mr. Bottle, they like specifically, the narrator specifically says at the beginning that, while he loves his daughter, he loves drinking even more. Or, also he calls cup a bottle on multiple occasions, so yeah. Um, yeah. Make of him what you will. Um, and yeah, evil stepmother lady is your typical evil stepmother. I guess it's debatable who's the bigger villain, her or Mary Lou. Honestly, I'd say Mary Lou. Um, uh, and yeah, there's not much else to talk about. It's pretty basic. There's a couple little creative moments, I guess. The movie's pretty heavily focused on slapstick. Most of it isn't really that funny, but uh, I don't know. One joke every now and then might be alright. There's one joke I can name that actually was a little funny, and that's a scene where the king is trying to talk to his son, but they do so by, like, playing telephone with these servants. So, you know, and there's a bunch of servants, and by the time the message gets to the other person, the other party, uh, you know, it's the classic telephone thing where, after passing the message around, it like the words get, that old cliche. Um, but yeah, that was a pretty amusing little joke. Aside from that, I can't really name much that stands out in this movie, but I don't know. I think it's harmless. Yeah, I can't really say there's much wrong with the movie, but there's not much that's, you know, yeah, not much that stands out either. Oh yeah, I guess another thing is there's this, who is he? Hold on, I'm trying to. Well, there's this guy that the shoemaker is interacting with throughout the movie. He's trying to, like, I don't know. He's like, I'm sorry if I'm like not well versed in, you know, uh, occupations back in the Middle Ages, but uh, but yeah, this guy who he's like got a pay taxes for to purchase all these items to marry Mary Lou, and yeah, so yeah, there's this gag where they get stuck on the roof, and they're trying to get down, and little running joke where the tax guy makes him like increases like the amount he has to pay. Yeah, it's not a great joke, but it's fine. And yeah, that's pretty much how I sum up this movie. It's fine. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with it, or maybe there might be some little issues here and there, but otherwise it's a relatively harmless movie. But yeah, nothing really stands out about it. This is probably not one that's gonna like stick with me or anything. So yeah, I think it's only appropriate to give this movie a 5 out of 10. It's about as average as you can get. And yeah, I mean, you can decide if for yourself if you want to watch it, but there's not much to gain out of it. I mean, okay, so this is based on an old fairy tale called Mother Hulda. So Mother Hulda is Mother Polly in this movie, but I don't know. I've read some comments on the video that I watched, and there's some people who hold this movie pretty nostalgically, and they hold the original fairy tale pretty dearly. So I don't know. You can decide for yourself if the movie's worth watching. I don't know. Maybe you'll like it, but I can't really name much that's much reason why you need to watch it. So, but yeah. Otherwise, yeah, 5 out of 10. And if there's anything else I feel I need to add, I'll put it in the comments as usual. Um, and yeah, I think that's about all I can say for now. So yeah, mash it and smash it, signing off.